Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time and spending it here with us on NACTV. I'm Eoin Devereux with the Banner Press, welcoming you to the newest edition of the show and the newest edition of our newspaper. Joined this week by journalist Casper Wehrhahn. Casper, good to have you here as always.
Good to be here, and well, we certainly had our work cut out for us this past week, so I'm eager to go through everything with those that are tuning in.
And again, it was good to have you around over the weekend and on Sunday, because holy cow, there was a lot on the go in a little bit of time. Within a 4-hour window on Sunday, we had 5 different notable events that were going on throughout Neepawa. It's wonderful to see that the community is so vibrant and so busy as that something like that can occur, and there can be a large number of people that are able to attend each and every one of them. But at the same time, coordinate, people. I mean, come on. Just somebody call somebody. And sort of, we're doing what at noon? Oh, you're doing what at noon as well? Okay. Well, wait, you're doing this at 1? Oh, geez. All right, let's scramble, people. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, the most important thing is the Banner Press was able to be there at every single one of those events, and the Banner Press was able to share those events with you in this week's paper. And that really comes down to what the front page is. It's a nice collage of what was going on. Neepawa, everything to everyone all at once. And that's what it was, because all the events that went on were of all different types of interests to all different types of people within our community. So, and there were some that were able to attend multiples, some that only attended the singular. But that's the great thing about this community, is the variety that is within it. So let's start, as always, on the front page, that little montage of the different events, and then we segue into one of those events that took place, the annual Terry Fox Run for Neepawa and the surrounding area. It's something we are very proud to be able to cover each and every year. Terry Fox, of course, Canadian legend, a Canadian hero. You speak to most Canadians and they say, who do you admire most throughout Canadian history? Terry Fox is usually that name that is right near the top, if not the top. Young man, his Marathon of Hope back in 1980 was something that just took the entire nation by storm. His courage in terms of that, his unfortunate inability to complete the trek due to the return of the cancer, but his strength and determination throughout not just the marathon, but his battle with cancer is something that many Canadians take immense pride in. And they show that immense pride and respect for what Terry accomplished each and every September by participating in the runs. Neepawa has been a great supporter. They are one of about 30 communities in Manitoba that do the Terry Fox Run each and every year. I was down there myself this year, and just to see those familiar faces from previous years. I've been here now 10 years. In terms of Terry Fox Run, I haven't covered it every single year, but I think I've covered about 5 or 6 of them over that decade. And you see the familiar faces, you see the stories, you see the memories. They have little placards up there with a montage of photographs from prior years showing those that supported it. So it's wonderful to see that. It means something. And I really felt very happy to see so many people. Just over 100 people were in attendance. And considering the circumstances of everything else that was going on at the exact same time, to get that number, a number that's higher than previous years, is a nice step forward. So we don't have the official numbers on the Terry Fox Run just yet, but we will have them in a future edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. I have a feeling that's going to be one of those years, Casper, where we might hit the benchmark, a historic top, record-setting year. I'm optimistic about that this time out.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I mean, amazing turnout, and I definitely would not be surprised if those numbers are hitting that benchmark that breaks a previous year record. I mean, it's always well supported each and every year, but to hear that it's been so outstanding this year is just fantastic. So I'm really happy to hear about that. I mean, as Eoin mentioned, this is a person, an event that is very cemented within Canadian history, just all across Canada. And I mean, it's a heartbreaking, inspiring story all at once because of the circumstances, of course. I mean, this is a very hard thing to deal with, you know, cancer and all that. And it's a very admirable initiative to have this event each and every year to raise funds to go towards helping with research and all that sort of stuff that can help with this.
Very important cancer research in terms of that. Speaking with Dr. Kelly Krasaniak, who's been the organizer for as long as I remember, she was talking about cancer does unfortunately impact everyone in some way, shape, or form. If they have not dealt with it themselves, they've had loved ones that have dealt with it themselves. I know I have. I've had a few loved ones that have dealt with it and come through successfully. I have no sort of illusions that I won't have to deal with it, most likely in the future. I don't say this jokingly, but I think we all got to deal with it our own way. And if I were a betting man, I would bet mine will probably be skin. In the 90s, did a lot more tanning than I really shouldn't have. So most likely now that I'm in my 50s, heading into my 60s, I'll probably pay for that. That's why you have to be very vigilant in these types of things. It can affect each and every individual. Like, I know a few people who have smoked like chimneys over the years, and it's like, yeah, that's going to be emphysema, that's going to be lung cancer soon enough type thing. And again, I don't say all these things to be flippant in any way, shape, or form. Please don't take them to be that way, but it's the reality of it. We will deal with it. Math, you can't escape math. And the math indicates that the different varieties of cancer are going to catch up to each and every one of us eventually, or someone who is very close to us. So the supports that are put in on a national level and on a local level are very important. Over the years, Neepawa has able to raise over $200,000 towards the Terry Fox Foundation, and that's excluding whatever comes in this year. It is such an impressive number, such an impressive amount of support. It's something we should not take for granted. And judging from the amount of people that were there last Sunday, we don't. If you want to get a little more in-depth, a little more information on that, you can find that story. It's on page 2 of this week's edition of the Banner Press. Now, Terry Fox Run is a tradition nationally and locally. It's been established and entrenched so well over the years. But there are others that are just starting out, that are just finding their feet, as it were. So to hear that there is support for a local endeavor that Casper was able to cover at that exact same time, getting almost as much support, is tremendous. And Casper, I'm going to throw to you on that to share with us the details of the Walk With Us campaign.
Definitely, yeah. So as Eoin mentioned, there was also the Walk With Us campaign happening that Sunday, the September 15th. And yeah, it had incredible support again this year. I mean, it's always been well supported over the years it's been held. This was the 5th year. And I was very happy to see, I wasn't able to get everybody in the photo because some people did sort of sneak out a little bit early after the walk, but there was 90 people in total approximately who were out at the Langford walking trails on that day to support the Walk With Us campaign. And if you're familiar, you know what it's about. If you don't, though, it does traditionally raise funds for the Manitoba Down Syndrome Society, but this year they did change it up and they were raising funds specifically for Touchwood Park for the accessible playground, which actually is going to be having their grand opening this coming week on Wednesday. So I'll be trying to get out to that and get some photos for that. And I mean, it was a great day, really hot day, but it was a great day. And showing that support, not just in people turning up, but financially as well. They were able to do quite well. They got a grand total of $4,922 together to support the park. So that was incredible to see. And I mean, I took a little bit of a walk myself, just a little bit, because I did come back to the start of the trail so I could catch people coming back. And it's just beautiful scenery out there. So a couple of different things out there for people to enjoy and support while they're going out there for this initiative.
You talk a little bit about how wonderful the weather was on that day, and just before we started recording here, we had a little aside here discussing what if it had rained that day. Well, first off, about 40% of our newspaper would not exist in any way, shape, or form, because the collage on the front page, you'll see it was the Terry Fox Run, the Walk With Us campaign, Neepawa's Got Pride, the Neepawa Tigers football team's home opener, and the cenotaph ceremony to commemorate National Legion Week. And quite honestly, for sure, 4 of those 5 events would have been rained out. And it was like, oh my God, you know what the show would be? The show would be just you watching me with my hands in my lap, twiddling my thumbs for about 15 minutes. And you know, that's slightly more boring than what you get from me on a regular basis, but that's pretty much what it would be. So we're very fortunate that Mother Nature cooperated with us and cooperated with all these events. And I really like, Casper, the fact that it went over so well. That is an impressive number for them to be able to bring in for an event that is still, in a way, still finding its feet. Definitely,
yeah. And I mean, just comparing to last year, like obviously there were some weather factors at play, so that did sort of bring things down a little bit, but they did have about 50 last year despite all the rain and all that. So this year, seeing it, even with all the heat, because it was quite oppressive, the heat, I admit, at least for me, I don't do well in the heat, and with everything else going on, for it to be up to 90, that is incredible. And I mean, hey, you had a little bit of a snack after. There was some barbecue and all that going on, and some water for everyone. And yeah, definitely very glad that the weather didn't take a turn, because as Eoin said, we'd be sitting here twiddling our thumbs for about 15 minutes of the show going, yeah,
would have been a good paper this week.
Would have been so good.
If it hadn't rained.
Darn weather.
Darn you, Mother Nature. But that is the great thing. And in fact, there was so much going on that we can't even go in depth on some of these events. We're not going to be able to talk in depth about the home opener for the Neepawa Tigers football team, which was happening at the exact same time as these events. We're not going to be able to talk about the commemoration that occurred at the cenotaph at the county courthouse building for National Legion Week, but you can still find those stories. The stories on National Legion Week you can find on page 19 of this week's edition of the Banner Press, and a picture and a little bit of a write-up on the football you can find on page 13, our sports page of this week's edition of the newspaper. And the reason is we just don't have enough time in 30 minutes to be able to do that, because there were other events that occurred, not just in that 4-hour window, but throughout the week, and we're going to get to those very shortly. But first we're going to talk about one more event in this little 4-hour window of craziness. And it is another event that is brand spanking new to Neepawa. And Casper, you're able to share the details on this, and it's a positive. It shows where Neepawa has come and developed over the last decade in terms of supports with the Neepawa Got Pride initiative.
Definitely, yeah. So this was held on the grounds of Arts Forward, and of course was organized by the Neepawa Area Pride organization. And I mean, from my estimation, it was really well received. It was a fantastic little event. I was glad to be there for a portion of it, the start of it there, catching the opening comments, of course, from Rhiann Beaver, the president of the group, and Gerard on behalf of the town. And of course, we had a special guest presentation from Veronica Jingles, who is a former resident of Neepawa, lived here for many years, but ended up moving away for a combination of reasons, and came back for this event to share her story, why she left, and where she's at right now and what she's doing. And I mean, that was fantastic for me to hear. I won't go through it, of course, so you'll need to read the paper for that. And of course, there is a full recording that NACTV got, since they were down there as well. I did obviously had to condense things for the newspaper. There's only so much space. But yeah, it was fantastic. Really enjoyed the presentations. There was good music. There was good performances there from a number of local drag performers, and one from Brandon as well. My first drag show too. It was quite entertaining. I really had a good time with that. And of course, some information booths. The Neepawa Library was there. Westman Empowerment was there. Lots of good information there. And of course, good food too. I mean, that's a big part of events, is having some good food sometimes. And there was the Filipino, I apologize if I mispronounced the Bagari group that was also there doing Filipino barbecue. I had the opportunity to get one of the last barbecue sticks that I shared with a friend that came out to it with me, and oh, that was amazing. Amazing. But yeah, just wonderful event overall. Definitely give it a read on page 9.
Oh man, I covered the events that had no food. We talked about this in last week's edition of the Banner Press. I was covering the events where there was no food, even the football game. I didn't even get orange slices. I mean, what the heck? And you're getting Filipino barbecue. Oh my God. Oh, I got hosed. I got so ripped off in terms of scheduling. What the heck?
And you know what? There was even cake. Well, that's just the real bummer there.
I'm not happy right now. There was cake. But anyway, but again, it's wonderful to see something like this and to see Veronica return to Neepawa and be able to share a story like that. I knew Veronica. I'll tell a little aside here. I knew Veronica, and my memory isn't what it used to be. I readily admit that. I believe Veronica used to be known as, I think it was Al. And after I had quit my job at the local radio station, I needed work. And they came along and said, hey, we've got the salvage company thing here and delivery service thing we do here. You need a job for a little bit, you're more than welcome to it. And I was very appreciative of that. Because I was at a point where it's like, God, do I even want to do this anymore? Do I want to be involved in media? Do I want to be involved in journalism anymore? I just needed that little step back and a little break. And it allowed me to stay in Neepawa a little longer than I would have had I not had the job opportunity. I didn't get a chance to go down there and speak with Veronica on that because, again, I was covering other events at the exact same time. But I do feel that I'm very happy to see that Neepawa has evolved in that way, in terms of support for these types of initiatives. And just a little aside, if you don't agree with it on your own personal level, that's your prerogative to do that. We're not going to agree on everything, but just let's all try not to be jackasses about these types of things. If you don't agree, respectfully disagree. That's the worst thing when it comes to anything, when it comes to cultural narratives or political narratives on that. We can't seem to, it has to be 100% or nothing, it seems, all the time. You can agree with someone on 90% of stuff and disagree on 10 and still be able to see each other's perspectives and be respectable towards those other viewpoints. Like, that's the thing that really I get a little bent out of shape on, and not just about things like this. Because, again, I know people who are a part of that, and I try and be as supportive as much as I can on that. And they've educated me on that over the years. And that's what it is. Just take the time to educate yourself a little bit, you know. And if you still don't agree, then fine, but just be respectful about these types of things, you know. That's all my 2 cents, you know.
No, definitely. I mean, just
5 cents because of inflation.
Yes, true.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, this is kind of playing off of something that Veronica and I had talked about a little bit. I don't remember the exact phrasing, so kind of just paraphrasing there. But just because something isn't, you know, applicable to you, just because something isn't true to your story, doesn't mean it isn't true to somebody else's story. And speaking personally for myself, just a little bit, because I'm an emotional person, I don't want to get too into the personal side of things. It was very good to see an event like this happen. I never had any guess that anything like this would ever happen. So for it to happen in my community was really touching. That meant a lot.
Well said, well said. All right, we're going to shift gears here. We only got a few minutes left, and there were so many other things on the go that we had. This didn't occur on Sunday, thank goodness. But it did occur on Saturday, and I was given the honor and the privilege. Country Meadows contacted us, informed us about this. Thank you kindly for keeping us in the loop on this. A person there celebrated their 110th birthday on Saturday. So congratulations to Annie Dubush. She celebrated her 110th, originally from the Polonia area, moved to Neepawa and moved to Country Meadows about 6 years ago. She walked right through the door. She was still a spry young 104. And even though she's not as mobile as she was then, she's still very sort of supportive and has a great sense of humor. Wasn't able to speak with her. Again, events like this can be very tiring for someone of any age. So, but we were very happy to be able to be there in some small way. So we got a write-up, we got a story about Annie in there. I wish we could have filled in some more of the blanks there, but still to be able to share this in some small way, really, I'm very appreciative of that. So happy birthday, Annie, and best moving forward, you know.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, this is quite the milestone. Very happy to share such an occasion with all the readers, and of course to be able to be a part of it as well. So for myself as well, happy birthday.
All right, we're going to shift gears here slightly. This was an initiative that occurred almost about a week ago, but it was so enlightening. Such revolutionary ideas in such a simplistic manner. There was the Your Town Rising seminar, which occurred right here in Neepawa last week. Now, what Your Town Rising is, and you can find them online, you can find them on social media, is they are a group of consultants, although they call themselves the unconsultants, who come into a small town with maybe a budget that isn't that big, and give them ideas and concepts on how to revitalize and invigorate their downtown cores. Now, if you've walked downtown in Neepawa, you've probably noticed there's some that are very nice and very upgraded and very much improved, thanks to the storefront improvement program, but there's still a lot of gray, there's still a lot of concrete, there's still a lot of blah in downtown Neepawa. And they came in and they came up with a few suggestions to create some vision and some color and some vibrancy in our core, and most importantly, in a dirt cheap way. They had a few suggestions on, if you do this, this is only going to cost you this much. And if you do this, it's going to really sort of add some pizzazz to your front. And it's something that you don't have to do as a collective. Every business in the downtown can come up with their own concepts and their own ideas, and it doesn't have to be uniform. They had some uniform suggestions for the holidays, for Christmas, these types of things. But it can just be something that you as a business owner in the downtown can do on your own. And that's the thing. We get bogged down way too often with, oh, if we're going to do something, it's got to be big. It's got to be big, and it's got to be expensive, and it's got to be this, and it's got to be that. And no, they didn't say it has to be that. Even the littlest things, even like a planter, just you know, take a wheelbarrow, take an old rusty wheelbarrow, paint it a vibrant green or a beautiful orange, and put some flowers in it and put it in front of your business. That makes a difference. And that doesn't cost much money. Or even just, instead of that boring gray wall you've got up in front of your business, throw up some orange, throw up some pinks, throw up some blue, throw up some whatever. And just make it pop. And it's like, there was one idea. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You have to pick up a copy of the Banner and Press and read it in the article. But they came up with this one concept that I looked around the room and everybody had that same, why didn't we think of that look on their face? It was like so simple, so inexpensive, and so basic, but something that puts you apart from every other community. And it was like, wow, why didn't we think of that? And a lot more businesses and I think a lot more communities need to have that mindset, Casper.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, like looking through the article here and the photos that Eoin got from the presentation, yeah, there was a lot of ideas that you see it and it's so simple. We need to get going on this, right? Because, yeah, I mean, they talked about in their presentation that it doesn't have to be big projects. No, it doesn't. It can be 1,000 little itty bitty projects, and those can mean a lot. And in terms of the one that Eoin touched upon, I know which one he's talking about there. Again, I won't spoil it, but I looked at it, and I had the same reaction. I was like, yeah, why haven't we done this, right? I mean, they go into talking about things such as, you know, trying to highlight your themes in the downtown, like the back 40 that we have here. I mean, we've got some walking trails and all that. We have a lot of stuff that we could highlight in some ways in our downtown. So I'm very curious to see going forward what might develop from this consultation, because there was a lot of good ideas in here.
Most definitely. And if you want to find those good ideas and some of the concepts, I was able to speak with representatives as well as Marilyn Crew from the town of Neepawa. Now they were, again, Greg McLaughlin and Leslie Fournier, Your Town Rising Unconsultants. You can find that story. It is on page 8 of this week's edition. And you can find them online, Your Town Rising. If you Google it, you're going to find their social media. You're going to find a lot of interesting information. We only got about 2 minutes left, so we're not even going to be able to scratch the surface of what we wanted to talk about. I wanted to go in, talk a little bit about the season opener for the Neepawa Titans, which is happening this weekend. If you're able to, go down to the Yellowhead Arena, get a ticket, and support your local hometown team. But if you're not able to, always remember to check your local listings, because they are rebroadcast right here on NAC TV, every single solitary Neepawa Titans home game, including their home opener against the Portage Terriers this Saturday. It's going to be broadcast right here. Remember, check your local listings. With about 90 seconds left, just very quickly going to talk about a tree planting initiative. We've talked about previous years. Neepawa Home Hardware has been a loyal and consistent partner for it. They were able to plant about 40 to 60 trees throughout Neepawa recently, including a dozen. They're going down the pathway towards Park Lake that lead toward the bird sanctuary. So very supportive of that. You can find that story. That's on page 10, just right across from Casper's story about the Walk With Us campaign. We've got so many other things we could have talked about this week. But that's why you need to pick up a copy of the paper. Always remember, 30 communities throughout Western Manitoba, you're going to be able to find a physical copy of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So keep your eyes out for it. But if you're not able to get a physical representation of our newspaper, always remember, every Friday, it goes live on our website, mywestman.ca. Once again, that is mywestman.ca. We put up a version of the paper on there. You can scroll through it at your convenience anytime online. So that pretty much does it for us here this week. Like I said, Casper, there's so much more we could have talked about, but that's only 30 minutes goes by pretty quick.
It really does, and it sure did go by quick this week. Thanks for having me on the show again this week, and looking forward to another one.
And always remember, if you have any story suggestions or ideas, you can contact us at 476-3401 or at news@neepawabanner.com. Remember, that is news at neepawabanner.com. So again, for Casper, I am Eoin. We thank you as always for tuning in to the story behind the stories. Have a great week.